There seems to be a move afoot in the United States, which again is not allowed to even be discussed in the corporate media in our country, that questions whether Israel has a stranglehold on our democracy. It's ironic because, look, I've been to Israel. It's a great country with a very benevolent tradition of free speech. You can literally say things in Israel about Israel for which you will get fired here in the United States, or worse, but you can say them in Israel. Trust me, I know. So what gives? So Israel's a great ally and a wonderfully developed and impressive economy and governmental system, but should Americans not be allowed to criticize Israel's foreign policy ever without being branded a anti-Semitic or worse? That's a question a lot of Americans are now asking or whispering to themselves. Young Americans, and especially young Jewish Americans. Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Chris Hedges is the former Middle East bureau chief for the New York Times. He hosts On Contact here on RT America. He also writes for Truth Dig, where he has just penned a story where he describes how Israel's lobby interferes in our democratic process. Here's what he just told me about that.
First, of course, is money. In our system of legalized bribery, that is possible to buy off elected officials. It has bought off the senior elected officials of both parties. We saw it with Pelosi's utterly tone-deaf attempt to use a resolution condemning anti-Semitism as a way of shaming Representative Ilhan Omar, who spoke a pretty apparent truth, obvious truth, about Israeli interference in the political process. It uses a variety of Israel proxy groups, domestic groups like AIPAC, Israel First, and others to spy on activists, many of whom are Jewish, and Students for Justice in Palestine, to set up false websites and discredit in forms of character assassination, blacklisting the great historian Norman Finkelstein, who himself is not only Jewish but the son of Holocaust survivors, because they dare to raise the issue of Palestinian human rights and to talk about the outsized influence that Israel has within our political system. Remember, when Israel didn't like Barack Obama's Iran nuclear deal, they got Boehner, the speaker, to invite Bibi Netanyahu to come and denounce the administration, which is patently unconstitutional. So there are a variety of methods, and the latest, which you've covered, is getting, I think, 24 states to pass this Israel lobby-sponsored legislation that requires not just state employees, but state contractors to take loyalty oaths. And there's, I think, another 11 states that are now considering this legislation. So what's happened is Israel doesn't have a counter-argument. There comes a point in which you cannot defend this apartheid system. And so what they've done is use these harsher forms of interference and control to shut down their critics, domestic U.S. critics. And so, yes, the influence is pervasive. I think you could make a strong case much of it is illegal. And the leaders of both parties aid and abet it because they've been bought off.
I'm Rick Sanchez. You found us on YouTube, and that's awesome. But you know what? I'm also live every night at 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern on DirecTV and Dish and cable and satellite, the RT app, and Pluto TV. I'll see you there.